Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Max Story.
Hello, and thanks for stopping by the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. Well, I got those two series wrapped up this year that I wanted to knock out. That one on our book, Change Happens, Leading Yourself and Others Through Change. And then the series that I just finished up. Last week's episode was the last one in that series on Blue Collar Kaizen, Leading Lean and Lean Teams. So now I got a couple of episodes to wrap up 2021. In today's episode, I just want to talk to you about some of the things we've been doing in the last 6 to 8 weeks or so, maybe around 6 to 7 weeks. Some of the places we've been, some of the things we've done, some of the folks out there in the blue collar industries and what they're doing, how they're allowing us to come in and help them transform their culture and different things like that. And next couple of episodes, I'll probably just teach some random lessons on character and leadership, that sort of thing, based on some quotes and some things I've been reading lately. And then to kick off 2022, I'm going to do a series. I'm not sure at this moment how many it'll be. It won't be many, probably 2 or 3 or 4, something like that. But I'm going to do a series on the 13 trust behaviors. And my third favorite book of all time is The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey. He's the son of Stephen R. Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits. So I'm gonna do a series on that. One reason I'm doing it is Jason Denham. You guys may have heard some of his podcast episodes before, but he mentioned that to me the other day when I was speaking with him on the phone, doing some mentoring, that sort of thing. We talk a lot. I always tell people I probably talk to Jason almost more than anybody besides my wife Rhea. Jason and I talk a lot, and I've been mentoring him since 2013, and it's been awesome to watch him grow. You know, from frontline entry level leader, leading just a small crew, 6, 7, 8 people, to now he's the vice president of electrical construction for a large MEP construction company in Texas. He's over everything electrical construction in Texas. But anyway, he was talking to me recently, and he brought up those 13 trust behaviors, and he said he needed to go back through them and teach them to his team and that sort of stuff. And it just gave me the idea that I had never actually talked about those trust behaviors on my podcast. So I'm going to kick off the 2022 year talking about some of those things. And at the moment, I don't have any book series planned for 2022. Going to do a bunch of random things for my podcast. I'll probably speak on a lot of quotes, a lot of different topics. I may do a lot of uh, episodes teaching some key principles from some of my favorite books. So I introduce you to some of my favorite books and talk about the impact that they had on me and the things that I really took away from them, why they're on my favorite book list, and why I recommend them to others to read, like I'll be recommending to you when I do those series. And again, it won't be an in-depth series on those books like when I'm doing my own book. Be more of an overview of the book with some key takeaways and that sort of thing. So today, again, I'm gonna just talk to you about some places we've been, some things we've been doing. We've been extremely busy. This episode is gonna come out on December 17th. So at the moment, looks like we got a couple of weeks of not traveling all over the country to get kind of caught up at the end of the year, get prepared for 2022. Doesn't mean we're not doing anything. We're always doing a lot. I always tell people if we're not busy traveling and speaking all over the country when we're at home, we're busy either catching up from all the things that got delayed because we were gone, or either we're being busy trying to get busy. What that means is we're doing podcasts like this, or recording podcasts, or we're writing articles, or we're interacting with folks on LinkedIn and social media, or getting on a lot of calls. I do a lot of networking calls. Some of you may have talked to me, and if you haven't, I encourage you to reach out. My number is 334 728-4143. I tell people I'm always open 24/7, 365, but I'm not always available because I'm busy. I'm busy most of the time, but you won't ever bother me. Reach out. If you listen to this podcast, I'd love to speak to you, hear a little bit about your story, and if there's any way I can add value to you, answer any questions, that sort of thing, I'm happy to do that. Uh, so where have we been in the last 6-7 weeks? I mean, we've been out. We were, if you kind of rewind back to late October, we were up in Lewistown, Pennsylvania. We were speaking at a roofing company up there. Pretty interesting group. They seemed to really enjoy what we had to say. But it was David Maines, an associate, and Miss Patty Maines got us up there, and we had a great day. Beautiful part of the country. I mean, it was awesome place to visit. One of the things we like, we love speaking to people and help people grow and develop themselves, but we really, really enjoy traveling around the country and seeing all these different places, enjoying great meals. Man, there's so many places to eat all over this place. I got a list of my favorite places to eat in the United States in my phone, and got them saved by state. So when we go back, I don't have to search around. Some places I already know exactly where we want to eat. But that was great. That was a roofing company. And then shortly after that, we were in Los Angeles area, actually out in San Bernardino. Rio went out there, and she was running a 26.2 marathon. She actually did great in that marathon. But while we were there, the Friday before the Saturday marathon, we actually spoke to Weingartner Masonry. So it's a pretty good sized masonry company out there in the area, in the LA area, and it was pretty cool. Casey Ricks got us out there, and what was awesome about that, he put on a lesson in abundance, in the abundance mindset. If you've ever heard me talk about abundance versus scarcity, abundance basically means there's plenty to go around. There's enough for everybody, and if we focus on helping everybody get their piece of the pie is going to get bigger. But scarcity says there's only so much to go around. If you get the pie or a piece of the pie, I don't get the piece of the pie, or there's less left for me. Scarcity said there's only so much. If you get a raise, I won't get a raise. If you get promoted, I won't get promoted. If you get the opportunity, I can't get an opportunity. That's scarcity mindset. Abundance says, though, if you get a raise, I can get a raise too. If you get promoted, I can get promoted too. If you get an opportunity, I can get an opportunity too. And high impact people have an abundance mindset. So what was cool when we got out there to Weingartner, to Masonry, to speak to that group, when we went in, Casey told us that, hey, I just want to let you know, because I always tell people you can have as many people as you want. I don't care where they come from. When we come out and speak, you can invite as many people as you want, big as your room will hold, whatever the situation is. And he said, hey, I got uh, some folks from two of our competitors are here. And no one has ever done that before. I thought it was just an awesome lesson in abundance. I said, you got your competitors here? He said, yep. He said, yeah. He said, we want to try to grow together so that we can grow the industry together here in our area. He said, it's not so easy to attract people into this industry. So we want to work together to become better together so that we can attract top talent from outside of our industry into our industry. So we want to get better as a whole. And man, that's what abundance is about. And I mean, it was awesome. That's why I'm talking to you about it today. And then, when I was speaking, I was telling those folks, whoever does this, and what I mean by this is what we were doing there, developing the people, investing in the character development of the people. Whoever does that the best, they're going to attract top talent from each other. So you got three competitors in the room, and they absolutely understand what Weingartner Masonry is doing, because they're the ones that started this thing and invited them to be there. So I was like, you guys got to, if you're going to do this together, you got to do it together. If not, whoever does it best is going to take all the best team members from the other two competitors. So in a sense, it's pretty cool, because each one of these competitors are going to lift each other up because they're really competing to see who can grow and develop their people the most. And what was neat was after we were done, they all really enjoyed our session. They actually ordered 400 books. Weingartner Masonry did. They ordered 400 books, and we went out and spoke for 4 hours. But at the end, they were really excited and fired up. And the two competitors, the people from those companies, they didn't have near as many people there as Weingartner because it was really Weingartner Masonry's event. So most of the people, maybe 50, 60, 70 people, was from Weingartner, and 10 or 15 people were from the competitors. But the two competitors really got a lot out of it, and they saw what Weingartner was doing. And they were talking at the end, they were saying they were going to take turns ordering our books for their teams and inviting us out to speak to their teams. And then inviting each other's teams to come participate each time we're out there. So that was pretty interesting thing to do and see and be a part of. And man, they had a great team everywhere we go. You know, a lot of these places we go to speak, they've never did anything like that, like we're doing. Most of the companies, when we go speak, most often it's the first time they've ever done any type of personal growth, leadership development for anybody in the organization at any level. So in the beginning, they don't really know what's coming, and they don't know what to expect. And after about 30 minutes or so, we've got them laughing and thinking, and that's the most important thing they can do is think hard about what we're saying, what it means to them. And most often, probably 90 to 95% of the people really enjoy it. There's always 5 or 10% of people who maybe don't enjoy it, or they don't really know, or they're totally uninterested. And if I can pick up on there's some of those people in the room, if you're in the room, you'll usually hear me say, I don't say it to any specific person. I just kind of give a lesson, and I talk about how there may be people in the room who don't value this, and and that's okay. But those people are going to become irrelevant as this company moves forward. And I always say, if you're in this room, you don't value what we're talking about. You don't value character development, working better together as a team, leading yourself better in life, at home, and in work. If you don't value any of that stuff, if it was up to me, I'd let you leave. I'd let you get up and walk out the door right now because I did not come to talk to you. I come to talk to people who want to get better, who want to build a stronger team, who want to build a stronger organization, who want to have better lives at home and at work, who want to take responsibility for who they are and start getting better. That's the people I want to talk to. But I know sometimes the company sends everybody in there and everybody doesn't care. But those people who don't care, I tell them because I don't want them to think what they do is a secret. I said, when we take a break or at the end of this thing, when you go out in the hallway or you go back to work and you start telling your coworkers how this was a bunch of junk, or you don't value it, or they wasted their time, they wasted your time, the money, whatever, those people are not going to build trust with the 90% plus people in the room who actually value this stuff. But what those people are trying to do, they're always trying to pull everybody else back. They start seeing people moving forward and they don't want to move forward, so they try to pull them back. They try to get as many people off the bus as they can. So I want the leaders in the room. When I say leaders in the room, I mean the people who value what we're speaking about the most. I want them to know what's going to happen. I want them to be prepared for it. And I want the people who maybe are not bought in to be prepared for it, because what's going to happen to them is they're going to become irrelevant. Sometimes pretty quick. Sometimes it takes a while. It depends on how gung-ho the formal authority leaders are at rolling out cultural transformation. So anyway, out there at Weingartner Masonry, we had a great time. The folks were really bought in. I mean, after we got done, I went out and talked to folks for a little while, hanging out. They were laughing and cutting up and asking questions, and I mean, people were gung-ho. And same way at David Main's and Associates Roofing up in Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter where we go. Most of the people truly feel appreciated when their leaders bring us in and buy the team members books, and then it's pretty cool to hear them. Just last week, uh, fast forward quite a bit. Actually, we were spoke. Let me go back. After Los Angeles, we were down in Thomasville, Georgia, about 3 hours south of where we live near Atlanta. We were speaking to Conference Systems USA. They do a lot of HVAC type stuff. Another fabulous team. Leaders gung ho about growing and developing those folks. And then we were off to Boise, Idaho for 3 days of speaking just a couple of weeks back. And we spoke at Image National Signs where Jade Hardman and Steve Watts, they got us in there. They ordered 300 books and had us come in and speak to their team. Or excuse me, they ordered 200 books. We come in and speak to their team. Spoke to their team. It was pretty awesome. They're out near the Boise area in a place called Nampa. Had about 100 and I don't know 150 people. They shut down their entire manufacturing facility for a couple hours, put everybody in some chairs, put up a stage, put up some speakers, and let us add value to the people, pour into the people. And the people were hungry. Jade and Steve actually had met us in Chicago. I think it was back in June or July. We spoke at a big convention conference seminar up there with thousands and thousands of people called FabTech, and they got interested in what we were speaking about, which was actually my blue collar leadership and culture book and my blue collar Kaizen book, which I just finished that series on. If you've been listening to the podcast, but they heard that and then they wanted to go back and Jade, he's a production manager over 70 or 80 people. Steve Watts is actually the president of the company, but Steve had brought Jade to the conference, and Jade got gung ho like crazy, and he started ordering my books, talking to me. He set up a video conference with me and all the leaders, Steve, the president, and other top leaders in his company. And then they decided to order the 200 books and have us come out to Nampa near Boise, Idaho, and invest that time with their team. And they have not let off the gas yet. I mean, they're going to do some amazing things. They were already pretty good and squared away, but if you're on that team, I'm just excited to see and hear what you guys do. I know a lot of the folks I'm talking about today on this episode have team members at all different levels who listen to this podcast. So giving all of you a shout out today, all of you that I'm talking about here. And so we did that on a Wednesday with Image National Signs. They make big signs that go in front of hotels or on big box store, business storefronts, all kind of signs that they make there. So we spoke there on a Wednesday. Then on Thursday we spoke at the Idaho Manufacturing Alliance Industry Trade Show. I think it was the first manufacturing trade show they had actually done. They've been around 6 or 7 years, but man, they started out and had a couple hundred people. I don't know, 220, 230 people, something like that. Had a had almost a full day. I think they started at 10 and went till 6 or something. So really, it was a full day of different speakers. Rhea and I were the opening keynote speakers. We got to speak to the entire group, and then we broke apart. We spoke to the entire group on blue collar leadership and culture, and then I went. Rhea and I got a break for an hour. There was other stuff going on and other speakers, and they had the trade show itself with different vendors and that kind of thing going on in one part of the conference center we were speaking in, the Boise Center out there. And then I went and spoke. Rhea and I split up, and I did an hour breakout session on blue collar leadership leading from the front lines. She went and did at the same time, she was in a different room doing a session on leadership gems for women. Then we got another breaker for an hour or so while other people were speaking. Then we come back together and did another breakout session on change happens, leading yourself and others through change. And we met a lot of great people. Been some folks already who've ordered books and scheduled us to come out. One guy in particular I'm thinking of is Alex Ferguson. We're going to be out there, and he was actually in Boise to attend that conference, but his manufacturing company is actually in Dallas, Texas, or Euless, Euless, which is actually Euless, Texas, around the Arlington area, kind of in between Dallas and Fort Worth. And he's already purchased books, and we're going out in January to speak to his manufacturing team, and he's going to shut down for everybody to stop working and have us talk to them as they kick off their cultural transformation initiative. So it's pretty cool. I've already had other people, reach out and go be purchasing books probably before the end of 2021 and have us come up. And if you've been listening while I'm talking about the books, we do that special offer. Anybody who purchases 200 books, we pay all of our expenses and come speak for free. And that really is a special offer. For 2 years, it was buy 200 books and get up to 4 hours on site at a conference or at your company, and we pay all of our expenses. And then a couple years ago, we switched it to 2 hours for 200 books, and we pay all of our expenses to come speak on site or at a conference. So that's been two different special offers over the past 4 years or 5 years, and now we're about to change again. Supply and demand's taking over. We're getting super busy, and so now at the beginning of 2022, the special offer is going to change. It'll be 300 books for 2 hours of on-site support, and there's no limit. If you want 4 hours, you can get more books. And that'll be on our special offer page, bluecollarleadership.com/special dash offer is where you find out about whatever the current special offer is. So that's going to be changing. We've had quite a few people take advantage right here at the end of the year. Anybody who wants to do that, they can still purchase 200 books. That's $3,600. We pay all of our expenses. We'll come speak up to 2 hours, and you can schedule that 12 months out. So people are taking advantage, getting the 200 book deal and scheduling their own site support or having us speak at a conference in 2022. So you can do that if there's an interest. So we spoke at that trade conference with the Idaho Manufacturing Alliance on the Thursday of that week. Then Friday of that week, we were actually at TMC Masonry in Nampa, Idaho. We had been out there in 2019, and they had done book studies. They've already familiar with us. We had already went out and spoke 4 hours in the past, but they heard we were coming out there. I made sure to let them know that we were coming to the area, and they had purchased 200 books. They had already purchased those books before COVID hit, so we hadn't actually went out and done our on site time with them. That had been delayed, but I told them we were going to be in the Boise area. If they wanted to schedule something while we were out there, it'd be great. We were already going to be there, and actually Tim McGordy and his team did that. So it was great for them to do that. So they had actually purchased their 200 books when we had a 4-hour session associated with it. So we went out on that Friday before we come back home and did a 4-hour session. They brought in everybody at every level, nearly 100 people in that masonry company and out there in Boise, and they're one of the top masonry companies in the Northwest. And they were still hungry. They were hungry from the last time we had been there, and they had never really stopped. So it was a great, great day with Tim McGordy and Jamal Nelson helped make all that happen and have been making it happen since 2019, and they're still making it happen. So that was a great time we had. We come home for a couple of days. That was a super busy week because we had left on Tuesday to travel out there to speak those 3 days in Boise, and then we come home late Friday, had a Saturday and a Sunday to try to get caught up, and then Monday we were off to San Diego, and went out there and spoke to Hinkles and McCoy, a guy named Mark Aragon, if I'm saying his last name right. He's the leader of quite a large group of team members out there, and they're a utilities company, a union company out or the workers are a part of a union. And we were speaking to all the top leaders. They're in the utility industry, but specifically in the high voltage electrical industry that they're in out there. So it's pretty neat to go speak with them. They hadn't done anything like that before. Had a lot of great feedback. Took a couple of breaks during that 3-hour session. They actually had purchased 300 books. Everybody there got 6 books, 6 different book titles. So they had basically 50 leaders in the room. 50 times 6 is 300. So everybody got a kit, a little leadership library of a different set of books, and they handed those out so those guys could continue developing themselves if they wanted to. They hoped that they would, and we hope that they would. And it's pretty obvious that a lot of them were going to do that. On the way out the door, one of the guys was asking the big dogs, when we going to start a book study, and that was actually James. And James, I don't remember his last name, but he emailed me the next day and said, "Hey man, where's that link to that book study training you were telling us about?" And pretty cool to see those guys engaging like that. And I mean, it's powerful. A lot of blue collar leaders think these blue collar folks don't want to read books. They'll read books, especially the books like I write, 30 chapters, 3 pages each. They're simple, short chapters, easy to read. But the main thing is when leaders invest in the people and the people feel like they matter and they understand the message that Rhea and I bring to them, and they got a good understanding of what's in those books, most of the people are hungry for what's in those books, because most of the people have been promoted at some point in their life into formal authority leadership positions and never been taught how to lead. They've just been expected to lead. And for most people, because they haven't been taught leadership, they do what you have to do. They manage people. They treat them like objects, and they get mediocre results. So when folks bring us in and the leaders understand there's an entire industry of books and people, podcasts, videos for them to help them lead at the next level, most of them have never even been introduced to that type content. Like me, I worked in multi-billion-dollar global companies 20 years. I never got introduced to this type content. It's why I'm so passionate about sharing it with other people. So that was a Monday. We flew out there to speak in San Diego, and then some of our schedule got changed around, so we actually had to end up driving from San Diego to Los Angeles so we could get a direct flight that afternoon to Dallas, because that was on a Tuesday that we spoke at Hinkles and McCoy, and then we had to get to LA so we could catch a straight direct flight to Dallas. Got there about 10, 11 at night, and had to get up the next morning on Wednesday and speak for GAT Airline Ground Support. And their CEO is Mike Huff. They're going and growing like crazy coming out of this pandemic. And we actually spoke for them also back in 2019 or early 2020. Can't remember now. I think it was late 2019. And then the virus hit, and we had to start doing some stuff with them by video. But we're glad to be back in the room. That's specific day. A couple weeks back on Wednesday, the CEO brought in all the C-level leaders, the VPs, all the top leaders from all of their locations around the U.S. and Canada, and probably about 120 or 150 top leaders from GAT Airline Ground Support. And man, they doing some good stuff. They value people. All these companies are just trying to get better. That's why I wanted to share with you. That's everything I've talked with you about this podcast. It's just like the last month or so, and again, maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks. It's pretty powerful what people are doing out there. I always tell people when COVID hit, there was not a shutdown, there was a slowdown. The blue collar people didn't stop. Most of them started having to work harder and more, and they still are. So it's really awesome to see leaders around the country investing in the growth and development of their people. And Jason Denham, I started out talking about Jason, and I'll wrap up with Jason today. He does first Saturday of every month. He does a 1.5 hour book study with his team. He does it in person, and he's got a camera on, so anybody can join by video and participate, because he works out of Dallas, but he's over the entire state of Texas, which is, their big units are in Austin, San Antonio. They're headquartered in Houston, actually, and then Jason's building his team up in Dallas. So there's a lot of people. A lot of people on the video, a lot of people in different rooms live who are joined together but are watching by video. What's cool is Jason, for quite a few months now, he's been inviting other people at other companies. Whenever somebody's interested in working at his company, which is Kilgore Industries, large MEP in Texas, when they want to work at his company, especially on his team, and he don't have a place to hire them, and he knows he'd like to hire them, he gives them a link to that call that first Saturday of every month, and they join in. They're still working at another company, but their company's not growing and developing them, but they're hungry for it. So they get in Jason's pipeline, and Jason don't have a problem finding great people. They're already on his first Saturday of the month calls. They're already building relationships with their team. He's already growing and developing them. As soon as he gets a spot, they get hired. And he ain't out searching for good people, because he's attracting great people. And then when all these people get in the company, they start telling all the great people who worked at their old company, hey, you need to come get in this company at Kilgore. And then round and around they go. And Jason is building his team from the ground up, a team of high character people who are attracting high character people. And all I hear most people saying in the country is, we can't find good people. Jason's attracting great people. He don't have to go out and look for good people. Because he's developing the people on the inside, they're talking good stuff to people on the outside. Hope you enjoyed this little snapshot of what's been going on in mine and Ria's life for the last several weeks. Talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.